It's time for a cracking unboxing / unwrapping of the first issue of Hachette's Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. I'll explain what it is, and every now and then I'm going to lovingly stroke the packaging. This is of course normal. Since January we have known this magazine is coming, and I really wanted issue 1 to convert the Terminator Captain into a Terminator Captain with lightning claws. Well, Terminator Captains don't have the option for lightning claws after the Space Marine Codex, but that's fine. There are rules, and no one I play with is going to massively care because they are good people and want you to have fun. So you can use these rules for lightning claw Terminator Captains. So I was going to use them as a Terminator Captain in my Deathwatch army and have him join these Deathwatch Terminators of mine, but then the Agents of the Imperium Codex came out and we can't add Terminator Captains to Deathwatch units anymore. Though there are still other characters we can add. There's a video about it. So maybe he'll be a Grey Knight Terminator for my Agent's army and have a Nemesis Force Sword and Stormbolter. But both of those weapons happen to be represented by Lightning Claws. Just let me build my Lightning Claw Terminator, man! So issue 1 is out today, the 28th of August, in the UK, from various news agents, and can also be ordered from the Forbidden Planet website as one-off issues, or you can subscribe to the Hachette Combat Big Deal to get it all. Right up to the Genestealer Cult Combat Patrol. The old one. The good one. And we know that issue 6 will be Barb Gaunts. They're a powerful unit and not otherwise sold separately. The thing I know you'll be wondering, where can I get one? If you're not in the UK, right now, you can't. Republican Ireland might be able to, but it's not out in other countries yet and we don't know if or when it will be out. Extra hand strokes for you to feel like you are also touching this. In the UK it can be pretty hard to get. I went round every shop in my village and neither of them had the magazine. So I had to gan into town and Morrison's had one. Okay, let's fix bayonets.
You slovenly solderage.
And unbox this magazine. Well, I've made a mess of that. So I guess it's time for another cracking unboxing of the Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. Morrison's may have had more than one. There we go. Right, the models. The models are the same ones from the Leviathan box set from the very start of 10th edition. If you already have these characters, I don't think you need more. You might want more, you don't necessarily need more. They're push-fit models, so you can just cut them out of the sprue and then push them together. I'm going to be doing some conversions, of course, so don't mind me. And they're a nice little fun thing to paint before the next issue comes out in a week's time, and then you can get more models and do the cycle all over again until you can't keep up. The bases are both 50mm. Now what I was wondering is, if I'm going to use this Terminator Captain as a regular Terminator, with lightning claws, can you fit the diorama base on a 40mm standard Terminator base? So there's your 40mm base. You can see compared to the 50mm base you get in the box. And it doesn't quite fit, sort of fits, but there's a little bit of overlap. You can sometimes have that. It shouldn't be too bad. It should work. It's up to you how much you care about base sizes. You get 6 dice. They're not stupid see-through ones or ones with incredibly bizarre symbols that represent the 1 and the 6, like all of the other dice sold by Games Workshop. These are normal D6s. Part of the reason I wanted this magazine was the battle mat. That is one of the best things about it. It is 30 inches by 22 inches, the same as a regular size kill team board. And it has one side which is inside and one side which represents the ground outside. Got some weird little plants. Nice. So that's something I'll be using in my games of 40k. You also get a little free poster thing. It tells you it's an advert. It's an advert for the rest of the Combat Patrol magazine, and the poster is the one you may have seen from the start of 10th edition when it advertised the Leviathan box set. Every week you get a new unit, or part of a new unit, or some paints, and then you can slowly build up your army. There it is. The end game goal. The Genestealer Cult Combat Patrol. And if you'd subscribed and are going to pay extra for the Combat Patrol, there's a little advert to say, yeah, you can also get some modelling clippers. And that makes it easier to get the bits off the sprue if you don't already have some clippers. There's a magazine with every issue, which has a little bit of information, background, some helpful tips for how to cut off the models from the sprue, how to put them together, which is very useful. And it explains the basics of all the factions. There's the Imperium, who are evil and brutal, Chaos, which is brutal and evil, the Orcs, which are brutal and cunning, cunning and brutal, and they're also grouped together in what is just called the Xenos. Xenos is misleading. If you are new to 40k, the aliens aren't united as a whole army. That is basically Games Workshop's other armies grouping. It also includes the human-like Votann, the human-shaped Eldari, and the definitely human Genestealer Cult. And then it mentions combat squads for Space Marines. Just so you know that there are other kinds of Space Marine to buy to add to your Space Marine army. Because you've got your Phobos units, you've got your Firstborn units, you've got your Primaris units. All of them need to be bought so that you have a full Space Marine army. And once you have 2 of every 160 Space Marine units, then you have a full Space Marine army. Something I like about this magazine is it really encourages the narrative side. It's not telling you, hey, when's your first tournament? Let's go to a tournament, run a tournament at your local area. It's like, roll a dice to see what the background of your captain is. Roll a dice to find out their name. And then it shows off the datasheet so you can see the basic stats. And then issue by issue, it'll take you through the rules. This is a good place to start learning Warhammer 40,000. Another good place is my channel. And it does the same for the Winged Prime because even though they're a Tyranid monstrosity, they too can have background and little quirks. So while a lot of people will be buying this magazine for the models because they're cheaper than Games Workshop's normal models, it's also an introduction for new people to learn how to play Warhammer 40,000. So it has the core concepts which Games Workshop really needs to nail down, like what is a character, what is a unit, characters are separate units, but they can also be leaders of units. And it shows you what a D3 is. D3, 1 or a 2 is a 1. Anyone who tells you that a 1, 2 or 3 represents a 1, 2 or 3, the 4 is a 1, the 5 is a 2 and the 6 is a 3, they are wrong. This is how it's done. This is what a D3 is. And then it sets you up for your first mission, which is just take your Terminator Captain, put them in base contact with your Warrior Prime, and roll attacks and saves until one of them dies. My money's on the Space Marine Captain. And then it gives you a little bit of narrative backstory of what happened when you won. The Space Marine Terminator Captain just destroys the Tyranid, but if the Tyranid wins, then they injure the Terminator Captain, who then gets up and runs away. And an extra useful thing, you see in the corner there it has these skull shapes. You can cut them out and use them as wound markers, just a stack of wound markers so you know how many wounds your characters have taken. Alternatively, you do the sensible thing and put a dice next to them to show how many wounds they have remaining. Now please go away and have a great day of 40k.